Today we're going to be doing another table, actually 2 tables. So if you've seen the last video, we're making the same, pretty much the same table, but this time 2 of them. We got a new machine here. This is a Hercules 15 amp, 12.5 inch planer.
Hercules.
Super excited about that thing. We got our wood. These are 2x12 by 8s. I tried to get pine boards. I could not find any pine boards that are 2x12 that are kiln dried. So these are kiln dried. It's Douglas fir, which is construction lumber, which is not what you want to use for building furniture. But where I got these from, they contacted 5 different wood suppliers and none of them had pine. So I used this the last table. It worked out totally fine. It's heavier, it's a little harder to work with, but we're gonna make it work. It's gonna be better than last time. Over here we have our 4x4s. I planed these. You can tell there's some marks from it stopping. These are ready to go. This wood is pretty wet. I got a moisture meter today. Yeah, it's at 18%. Yeah, kind of going back and forth there. We want this to be closer to like 12. So today we're going to plane these. We're going to cut the edges as well on the table saw in hopes that removing a little bit of material will also help this dry out faster before we start butting them together, because I don't want them to move after I glue them together. And we're going to do an epoxy top as well on both of these. I'm going to throw the ball real quick. Okay, so first things first, we're going to start planing these boards. They're already pretty straight, but we're going to get them super straight. So I have these oriented with how I want them to butt up together. So this one's got some gaps in it. We still haven't cut the edges straight yet. One thing I do like about using the Doug fir is this grain down the middle, like this pink stuff. It comes out pretty good when you throw a stain on it. It's got a really cool color. But these are all flat. These are flat. These ones had that stripe down the middle, so I kind of want to match them together. This one just has a lot wider grain. This one's a lot tighter. so the epoxy has been sitting up for 4 days. It had some issues, so we got leaks in these cracks because these gaps were a little bit wider than I wanted to, because it just kept leaking through the tape, and we were like doing 5 layers of tape, and it just didn't matter. So I put some silicone inside of the cracks, and man, it just does not like the epoxy. It looks kind of cool. Like, it's not terrible. It's doable, I guess. This is a little rough here. It's almost thin there. So I had a little here, a little gap there that it was leaking through. But other than that, I'm happy with it. It came out really nice. So we're going to actually take the form off and finish this thing up. Okay, so the edge is pretty rough, and there's some little bit of high spots. So we're gonna hit this edge with the router and see if we can clean this up. Okay, so this thing is done. We got the sides sanded and stained. We cleaned up the underside. We had a lot of leakage inside the tape. So there's a lot of like epoxy. You can't really see it now, but there's like epoxy here that we sanded smooth. You can kind of feel it, but you can't really see it, which is good. So the last thing that we need to do for this is actually do our brand on the underside, and then this thing is ready to be taken over and delivered.
Pull up.
Okay, so we're making progress on the second table. We got the feet ready for paint and to be connected together. The top, we got 3 out of 4 boards gluing right now. So tomorrow we'll glue the 4th one on. But this table is going to be a little bit different because we can't just bring the whole thing to its final destination in one piece. It's too big to fit through the doorways. So I'm coming up with an idea on how to mount the table to the feet where it can be unbolted. That way we can bring it in 2 pieces, because I usually drill screws through the top and then epoxy over it so that it cannot be undone. So I have some angle here, and I think I'm going to cut 4 of these at 30 inches. And we're going to mount these on each side of the feet. So we'll have 4 brackets screwed into the side, and then on the top we'll be able to put some bolts into the bottom of the table. I'm waiting on those pieces in the mail. They're threaded wood inserts. So we're gonna cut 4 of these at 30 inches. Okay, so we got the frame nailed in here to the table. We're doing the coins again in the corners. This is the centerpiece for Station 84. And they are the Rowdy Rebels, dude. What a name. All right, so we're gonna start mixing up some epoxy. We're gonna do our first thin coat, first layer. I got a brand new bucket. So we're gonna let that sit for about 2 to 4 hours. Like once it gets like a little tacky, and then we'll finish off with the deep pour to cover this thing completely. It's about 1/8 of an inch thick. That is set perfect. The coins are set, so let's get to mixing. This thing has been sitting for 2 hours. I'm gonna do the second coat now. It usually takes like 2 to 4, but all the bubbles have, I blew them all out with the heat gun. This thing looks really clear right now. If you wait too long, this will get too hard. Usually like 24 hours is within 24 hours, but even before that, it can kind of harden up depending on the temperature. And then if you try to add a second layer of epoxy, you're gonna have to do some sanding to like roughen up the surface so it has something to grab onto. So that's why we do this. But yeah, it's looking really good. Super glossy. Looks great. All right, so the table is all done. I got it loaded in here by myself. That was an absolute nightmare. I put the top on my roller toolbox. I rolled it to the gravel, and then I put the legs from the table down and like leapfrogged it, and then moved the roller over here, put it on, and then lifted the top onto the trailer on the side, and then put the legs in, and then put this on top. But it was just a whole ordeal, but that's done. So I'll have help getting it out, which will be nice. So yeah, that's going to be the last project you guys are going to see at this house. We're currently getting ready to sell this house, so the garage is looking so empty. So thank you guys so much for watching all the way to the end of this video. We built 2 tables. It was sweet. The second one came out really well. I like the epoxy job on it. It came out, I don't want to say perfect, but it was like the best that I could have hoped for. So we're getting way better at building this style table. I think in the future, I want to try to build one for myself that is just wood and like with a stain, and maybe like a polyurethane top instead of the epoxy. The epoxy is really nice. It's a super hard surface and it's easy to clean. You just wipe it with water and just like a rag. But the thing that's not good about it is heat. So if you have like a really hot soup, or you put like your cooking pan with hot food on it, you have to put a heat pad down. Even if you like microwave something, when that, you know, when you go in the microwave in a bowl and that bowl gets super hot, if you put it on the epoxy, especially when it's new like this, it hasn't cured. It takes like really like 90 days for this thing to like fully cure. It will melt the epoxy, and even like a year later on the one I use at work, you can smell it. If you put a super hot bowl on, you can smell the epoxy like off gassing, which is not good. But it doesn't mess it up like because it's been cured, but whatever, that's just a downside to it. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out. Bye.